There is an update on the Ghanaians who were arrested and extradited to the United States of America by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The likes of Kofi Boat, Dada Joe and Agony Pascal. Wicked Blogger Ghana had our inquiries responded to by agencies in charge of prosecuting these scammers. Smash the subscribe button. People are eager to hear what is happening to them, whether they have already been jailed or have made any appearances in court. Unlike Haja for Real, who snitched and cut a deal too quickly to have a case fast-tracked, these individuals are weighing their options. Wicked Blogger Ghana can categorically tell you that they two out of the three, which are Kofi Boat and Dada Joe, have already agreed and are cutting deals with the feds. Agony Pascal, on the other hand, is feeling reluctant to do the same, but per our checks, he would eventually give in. If an internet fraudster is arrested and extradited to the United States, they can sometimes cut deals with the FBI or federal prosecutors. These deals are not made out of kindness, but out of strategy. The government wants information, and the suspect wants a lighter sentence or a way to avoid spending too many years in prison. Here's how it usually works, and the kinds of agreements that can happen. 1. Plea deals. This is the most common type of arrangement. The fraudster admits guilt to one or more charges in exchange for the government dropping others or recommending a shorter sentence. For example, if someone faces 10 charges, prosecutors might agree to dismiss 7 if they plead guilty to 3 and agree to cooperate. This saves the government time and money while guaranteeing a conviction. 2. Cooperation agreements. If the person can provide useful information, such as naming other fraudsters, explaining how a scam network operates, giving access to cryptocurrency wallets, or testifying against bigger players, the FBI and prosecutors will take that seriously. Cooperation can lead to a much lighter sentence, sometimes even probation or early release later. The key is that the information must be valuable and verifiable. This was what Haja for Real went for. 3. Substantial assistance. If the fraudster's help leads to the arrest of other people or the recovery of stolen money, prosecutors can recommend a big reduction in sentence. In US law, this is often called substantial assistance. It's a formal way of saying the person's help was so useful that the court should show mercy. But the final decision always rests with the judge, not the FBI. 4. Post-sentencing reductions. Even after sentencing, if a person continues to cooperate and gives new information that helps investigators solve another case, prosecutors can go back to court and ask the judge to cut their prison time. This is like a reward for continued cooperation. 5. Deferred or non-prosecution agreements. In rare cases, especially when the person is a first-time offender or their cooperation is extremely valuable, the government may agree not to prosecute immediately. Instead, they set conditions such as full cooperation, repayment of stolen funds, and avoiding further crimes. If the person follows all the terms, the charges might be dropped after a set time. These agreements are less common for individuals, but possible when the suspect helps crack a larger criminal ring. 6. Asset forfeiture and restitution. Almost every deal includes giving up money, cars, or assets linked to the crime. The government demands full restitution, repayment to victims, and forfeiture of any property bought with illegal funds. It's a way to show accountability and reduce the punishment. 7. Witness protection. If the fraudster's cooperation puts them at risk, for example, if they testify against dangerous criminals or international syndicates, the government can offer witness protection. That might include relocation, a new identity, or other safety measures. But this only happens if the person's information is critical and their safety is genuinely threatened. What the fraudster gets in return? In exchange for cooperating, a person can get a reduced sentence or serve time in a lower security facility, have some charges dropped, be allowed to serve part of the sentence under house arrest or supervised release, qualify for early release after continued cooperation. However, there's no guarantee of leniency. The FBI doesn't make the final decision, prosecutors make recommendations, and judges decide the actual sentence. The more honest and useful the cooperation, the better the outcome. The cases of Kofi Boat, Dada Joe and Agony Pascal are of greater interest to the Federal Bureau of Investigation because they form part of the FBI's operation across Africa, where several scammers were arrested. Multiple joint operations led by the FBI have occurred in Africa, focusing on combating transnational crimes like cyber fraud, money laundering, and terrorism financing. These operations are conducted in collaboration with local law enforcement agencies and international partners like Interpol and Afripol. The FBI worked with Ghanaian authorities to dismantle major cybercrime and fraud rings. The operation targeted online scams, such as romance fraud, which victimized people in the US and elsewhere. Luxury vehicles and properties were seized in Accra, revealing how proceeds from illicit activities were laundered. At least 3 Ghanaian nationals, including a suspected kingpin, were arrested and faced potential extradition to the US. Wicked Blogger Ghana spoke with our informants both abroad and in Ghana, and we can confidently tell you that the FBI is planning to prosecute Kofi Boat, Dada Joe Remix, and Agony Pascal early next year to allow them ample time to gather information on other suspects who were involved in the scam. Kofi Boat, Dada Joe Remix, and Agony Pascal really laundered millions of dollars from the American system, so the Federal Bureau of Investigation is keen on unveiling every single individual in the ring, because they believe there are more people in the fraud ring. The cooperation of Kofi Boat, Dada Joe Remix, and Agony Pascal is making things quite easy for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And very soon, many more arrests will be made in Ghana. Dada Joe Remix, whose real name is Joseph Kwadwo Badu Boateng, was indicted in Arizona in 2023. According to US prosecutors, he and others ran a long-running romance and inheritance fraud operation that targeted elderly victims across America. They convinced people they had inherited gold or jewels and tricked them into sending large sums of money as supposed taxes and clearance fees. After his arrest in Ghana, he was extradited to the US to stand trial for conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Kofi Boat, known legally as Isaac Oduro Boateng, is facing similar charges in the Southern District of New York. He is accused of being part of a criminal organization that carried out romance scams, business email compromise schemes, and money laundering. The group allegedly operated from 2016 to 2023 using fake online identities, spoofed emails, and forged business documents to defraud both individuals and companies. Investigators say they moved stolen money through a network of foreign accounts and used intermediaries in several countries to conceal the source of the funds. Kofi Boat was arrested in Ghana and later extradited to the US to face trial for wire fraud, money laundering, and receiving stolen funds. Agony Pascal, whose real name is Inusa Ahmed, was arrested alongside Kofi Boat and is believed to be connected to the same fraud ring. He reportedly served as one of the key coordinators overseeing operations that targeted both businesses and elderly victims in the United States. Pascal is also said to own a football club in Ghana, which investigators suspect was used to launder part of the fraudulent proceeds. Though fewer public details are available about his exact charges, he faces the same general accusations of wire fraud and money laundering connected to the larger $100 million scheme. The FBI and U.S. Department of Justice described the case as one of the most sophisticated West African-led cybercrime networks in recent years. Their investigation revealed that the fraudsters used dating websites and social media to lure victims into false relationships, convincing them to send money under emotional or business pretenses. Others in the group focused on breaching company email systems, redirecting legitimate payments to accounts they controlled. After months of surveillance and cooperation between U.S. and Ghanaian authorities, the suspects were tracked down in Accra and Kumasi. Their arrests followed coordinated raids that uncovered electronic devices, bank records, and luxury assets believed to have been purchased with stolen funds. All 3 men were later handed over to U.S. federal agents for extradition proceedings. In America, the cases against them are being treated as major financial crimes that involve international coordination. Prosecutors intend to pursue full restitution for victims and possible prison sentences of up to 20 years per count if they are convicted. Each suspect faces separate trials, but the evidence suggests their operations were closely linked, sharing communication channels, bank intermediaries, and fake online profiles. The FBI believes that these arrests could help dismantle a larger network of internet scammers operating across Ghana, Nigeria, and other parts of West Africa. Their cases are expected to continue into next year, with hearings and trials that may expose more members of the syndicate still active online. More updates will follow. Smash the subscribe button.